Hey friends, it's Mari here. I have another project for the Justnik digital cut file design team. And today I'm going to be actually scrap lifting myself here. You can see the layout on the left that I did for my last Justnik project, and then the layout on the right. And I'm going to be showing you here today how I use some different cut files from the shop to create a pretty different look, but yet obviously a very similar design. And so I'm going to take you through that process today, and I'm going to start here right away. I'm going to show you the title piece that I used. I cut this Bring On Summer cut file from the Justnik shop, and I actually cut that several different times, and I glued all of those different layers together to create a dimensional title. And now what I did was I'm showing you here the tribal triangle background cut file that I've cut from white cardstock, and I used that One Canoe to Saturday Afternoon collection as my color inspiration for my project today. So I cut this tribal triangle background cut file out of some basil marshmallow cardstock, which is a heavy cardstock, and I cut it at 8.5 by 11 because I wanted to duplicate the 8.5 by 11 design. Now what I wanted to do, or what I thought I wanted to do, was back the layout or have a frame around it out of black cardstock. So I did actually end up adhering it to this cardstock, but I end up changing that, and I'll show you that later. Now what I did was I added some vellum over top of that whole, or I'm going to add some vellum over top of this whole layer here. And I'm just going to stick that down with a little bit of vellum adhesive, but then I'm going to take my sewing machine and I'm going to sew around the edges of those petals. And I really like how that adds some interesting detail to the layout, and it actually holds all of my layers together, including that vellum. Now I'm going to take my 4x3 photograph here, and I'm going to do a couple of simple mats on this with this photo. I'm going to use more of the paper from the One Canoe 2 Saturday Afternoon collection. That is actually the collection I'm using for this entire project. I'm going to size that down with my Tim Holtz cutter here. I'm just going to leave a really nice fine little detail edge around the edge of my photograph here to bring in that blue color a little bit. Now at this point I'm just thinking about, okay, now I really want to duplicate the design from my layout that I was showing you from my last project for Justnik, but I just wanted to obviously add different embellishments and so on and so forth from this collection that I'm working with today. So one of the ideas that I thought was duplicating that band that was on the top of the other layout, but instead what I do is I move that band to the bottom and I put it underneath my title piece. So I'm going to just show you here now. I decided that I wanted to use navy accents instead of black because there really wasn't much black in that One Canoe 2 collection. So now what I'm going to do is add a piece of the navy pattern paper from the collection to the top of my title piece. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue there. I've just cut it again. I always either save my cut files in Silhouette, or I leave them on in my design studio there until I'm completely done the project. Because if I decide I want to go back and cut the file again and duplicate it in the same size and everything as what I've been working on, then it'll just be there for me. I don't have to try to figure out the dimensions of it again. So here you can see I'm going to just pop up my photograph on a little bit of foam adhesive just to give the photo layers a little bit of dimension as well. I'm going to use this ice cream cone paper. Even though you won't really be able to see the cones, it'll be the same color palette that I'm using for the rest of the layout. Now, you can probably see, or hopefully you can see in that photograph, this is a picture of me, and then I'm with my sister here. This is on May Long weekend when we went to Fable Ice Cream in Saskatoon for some homemade ice cream. It was delicious, and this collection is perfect for this layout because it definitely has a summer theme, and there are some really cool little ice cream icons in the collection, which is perfect. So now I've got that little bit of navy on my photo mat as well, and I am going to start to sort of get some ideas, put some ideas together about where I want things. Now I've created a little scallop border to go above my title piece area there using a punch from my stash. And now I've decided that I am going to do that same journaling area like in my last layout, and I am going to use a journaling card this time from the collection. I'm going to go with more of a horizontal for my journaling rather than more of a vertical. In the other layout, it was on a tag that was a little bit more vertical, and I'm going to do 3 embellishment clusters here with this as I'm working through the rest of this process. So I just want to place my photograph here just slightly over top of that scallop area. I wanted to keep my journaling box above that scallop border. I didn't want to cover up that scallop area, and I wanted to leave the bottom of the card free so that I could journal on it and have more space for the writing. So I'm just going to put that the photo over to the left slightly to allow for that journal card area over to the right. And I'm just taking my T-square just to make sure that I have things straight. This is a pretty linear layout. Obviously, I don't want anything to be off and crooked. So I'm going to add this little ice cream die cut that is part of the collection over to the left, and I'm going to create a little embellishment cluster in that area using more of the little embellishments from the collection. I love this little dimensional camera sticker. I think it's perfect, and I am going to use a few little rose gold accents here on the layout as well, using some of the stickers from the collection also. So the center of that, or the lens of the camera, has some rose gold foiling on it, and it just looks really neat, and it pops up nicely and adds a little bit of interest to that area where the ice cream cone is. So now I'm just going in to look at what else I can find in the collection here to add in. I'm going to be looking at the sticker sheet, and I'm going to look at some more of the die cuts. I'm going to check out more of the dimensional stickers and so on. Just kind of flip through and look and see if I can find something else that matches with the colors. I didn't want to bring in another color. There is quite a bit of yellow in this collection. I didn't want to bring in any yellow at this point, just because I didn't want to have to start working that in. So I do really like this die cut piece. That's that really pretty aqua color again, and it says Hello Weekend, which is perfect because this was, like I said before, May long. My sister came from Ontario that weekend, and it was just a lovely weekend. We had so much fun, and I thought that die cut piece was perfect. Now I wanted to just kind of look through and see if there were other stickers that I could use, and sure enough, there's a bunch of other stickers that I end up taking off of that sticker sheet or those sticker sheets to incorporate into the layout here. So I'm also going to use a little bit of foam adhesive on this die cut piece and add that above my journaling area and give it a little bit of dimension there. One of the really important things to remember when you're layering is to make sure that you continue to add different levels to your layers. So adding a little bit of foam adhesive to your pieces that you're layering on top of the other piece is really important, just to give it that dimension and lift that you need between those different layers. So you can see there I added a little rose gold heart to that little ice cream cone. That little ice cream cone up there to the right is fussy cut from the pattern paper, the 6x8 pattern paper pad. And I just add those little fussy cut ice creams as embellishment pieces here and there. I think I added 2 of those, one above, and then I'm going to create a little cluster here below so that we have the little triangle going on of the 3 cluster areas. So I'll add that little ice cream there, but don't worry, I'm not done. I'm going to add another sticker down there, a couple stickers actually. I think I added 3 stickers to that bottom area. I add those little geometric shape stickers from the sticker sheet to each of the different cluster areas. One is navy that you can see that I'm sticking down there, and there's one that is kind of that pink color, and then one that's the aqua color. So I'm going to just add those into the 3 cluster areas just to add another little piece of interest and detail. So add those in, and yeah, I'm liking how this is coming together. So there is a lot of, merit in taking a look at designs that you've done before that have worked and just scrap lift yourself. Use a design that's worked for you, that you've loved. Use a different collection. Use a different size photo. Turn your photo in a different way. There's different ways to make the layout look fresh and different, but where you're not reinventing the wheel, I guess. And so you can see how in this layout, that background cut file really changes things up, as opposed to in the other layout that I did that I showed you at the beginning, that has the background was patterned paper instead of a cut file. And it both add really interesting detail to the layout. I particularly like this cut file. I think it's really cool. And the beautiful thing about the cut files is you can cut them from whatever color, whatever pattern you want, and just make it look really interesting. You can see I've added a few little wooden buttons to the layout. Those are from another One Canoe 2 collection. And I just like how they add a little bit of extra detail and dimension and color to those little areas. I end up only actually using 2 in the end. I just decided not to use one in that camera area. I felt like there was already enough going on over in that spot. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I will leave a link in the description box below to the Just Nick Digital Cut File Shop. Make sure you check it out and check out all of the beautiful cut files that Nicole is adding weekly to the shop. There's some really fun stuff over there. Lots of fun summer themed cut files and so on. All kinds of goodies. Thank you again, guys. And I will see you soon on my channel. Bye-bye.